Hi guys, JJ here. Welcome back to the show. Today I have Vivian with me. Vivian is a former colleague from AIA Singapore. We both joined the insurance industry, FA industry, relatively young in our early 20s. She has a background in law and she has built for herself a successful practice over the last 4 years. Today we will be discussing how her practice has evolved, why she decided to not be a lawyer, and her parents' initial reaction to it, and why she's looking to build her own team in the next stage of her career, and much more. Vivian, welcome to the studio.
Hi everybody. Hi.
Can I get you to just do a very quick introduction of yourself to the audience?
Hi everybody. I'm Vivian from AIA Singapore. I've been with AIA as a personal wealth manager for the past 2 years, and in these past 2 years, I've received a lot of support and love from the industry, which I wish to share with everyone today.
Vivian, this is your 5th year in the business.
4th year. Actually.
4th year. When's your full 4th year? When did you join? Which month?
I joined in February. So this is the start of my 4th year.
Start of the 4th year.
Yeah.
We all know that, the start of the 4th year and a good half of it will be like the pandemic years since
Yes.
practically the start of 2020. So how has your practice evolved since you first joined 4 years ago?
I think at the very beginning part, my first year, right, my first full year, I was quite lucky because it wasn't pandemic yet. So we can run around, do roadshow, do all the street knocking, street prospecting, door knocking and stuff. But during the pandemic, it was a bit of a change because now we cannot go out anymore and we have to be adaptive to the situation. I remember in my first month of the pandemic, right, I'm just lying in home and don't know what to do, hoping that this will pass.
The circuit breaker.
Yes, the circuit breaker will pass and we can go back to normal. But after a while, we realized that it is not going to happen. So then we all come together and discuss what we can do. So of course, the first thing that we need to get adapt to is how to talk and how to present our concepts and everything through Zoom. Last time we used to just draw on the paper, present on the paper, or just print out everything with us.
Very face-to-face.
Very face-to-face. But actually after a while, right, I realized Zoom is more efficient. We start to create a lot of decks. So for example, I have in my laptop, if you want it today, I can just open out and say, oh, this is my critical illness deck. This is my investment deck. And it is easier because now you save paper also. And you can draw on the deck. So things become more easier in a way after you adapt yourself. Yeah.
When you first started, right, you mentioned about the cold callings and all. How much of your business was built on cold calls in the first year?
I would say about 80%. Because when I started my business, I'm a foreigner, first of all. And when I started my business, all my friends are still studying. So not many people can help me with that. I do have a few friends. They are already out working. And I'm still very, very appreciative towards what they have done, helped me. So I remember when I went to them, right, they just straight away say, okay, Vivian, you know what, I trusted you. And we are just going to let you plan for us. And I use the word supportive because I know if it's not because of me, they wouldn't have bought the policy.
So it was a very personal relationship.
Yes. But other than that, a big portion of it actually is from cold call, includes cold calling numbers, includes messaging people. I do have referrals here and there as well. And in my first year, I would say is my the journey of exploring different ways that suits me. Because I do really a lot of things. I think almost everything my leader asked me to do to try out, right, I would just say yes. And sometimes after a while, you realize that it doesn't work. But I always give every method a 3 months trial period, I will call it. And then I will always constantly review and reflect whether this method works. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about, because for me, I would think that 80% of a business that's based on a certain model, cold call, the cold market, pre-pandemic, to have to suddenly pivot when COVID came along, Singapore got thrown into a circuit breaker, everybody can't even go out. Can you share a bit more about this pivot and how did you pivot and transform your business to, like you said, the cold market one, to one that is essentially digital and on Zoom and online?
The first part of it, which is prospecting, right, in terms of cold market, is definitely harder with Zoom, because why would people want to meet you out of nowhere, right? So to solve that, right, I always tell the prospects that, now it's through Zoom, so it's actually easier. You don't even need to come out and waste your time. 10 minutes, if you don't like me, you can just click, leave the Zoom.
The opportunity cost is a lot
Yes.
lower.
So you need to let prospect realize that, now meeting Vivian is less troublesome. And in fact, they are more in control. Because if today you just click leave Zoom, right, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? So that is one key thing I told prospect, that actually translate into more appointments. Because now people realize that, oh, okay, yeah, you are right. I have power. I have the control powers with me.
And it's easier to say, oh, my baby crying. I need to go do something.
Yes.
But at the same time, I know you as a very people's person. So now that the restrictions have come off a lot less restrictive, are you pivoting your practice a lot back to the people person interaction?
Yes. During my COVID period, right, a lot of clients that I met, we are more of a less personal touch kind of clients. So when things open up, I try to meet all of them to build that rapport back. Of course, some people, I understand, they have families or older elderlies, young children at home. Then they are more resist to coming out, because now the cases are still a lot, right? So I understand that part. Then I would try to call them just to ask how is everything going on, is everything okay, to understand them more as a friend as well.
You are one of the many people, or I don't know, I'm not very into the industry the last 2 years, but I always find it very interesting that during a time of pandemic, when generally people feel that things are on a much slower and downtrend, you have done much better in terms of your production and in terms of evolving your practice, in terms of sales, basically, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the pandemic has sort of changed the way people think about protection, investment, and building their finances for themselves?
Yes, definitely. I think when people are working from home, suddenly we have a lot more time to ourselves, and people tends to think more about their planning, things more about what they really want in life. So when we have that conversation with clients, things become more in-depth. Last time it used to be when we are sitting at a coffee shop, people are halfway working, chiong out. So their mind are still very into their work. Yeah. But when we transform, it's at a comfortable situations, you're at the comfort of your home. And when we talk about that topic again, sometimes people actually opens up a lot more. For example, they will tell me, Vivian, I work for so hard. It's actually because I want to go migrate to this country, or I want to take care of my parents. My biggest dream is to retire my parents. So people open a lot more, especially at the comfort of their home. And I appreciate that conversation a lot, because that helps me to understand my client more and plan accordingly.
They feel a lot more in control, actually, in their own home as well.
Yes.
I joined the business when I was 22 years old. You joined the business when you were?
23.
23. For me, joining the business when I was 22, right? I was fresh out of national service, 2 years national service. And prospecting was essentially the thing that you have to sort out as per all career in financial advisory. Because if you have no clients, then it's a commission-based job at the end of the day. For you, like you mentioned, you're from Malaysia, you're a foreigner in Singapore. I would imagine that it's even more challenging, even if you have a few supportive friends who supported you, because you can't go back to them all the time. What were challenges when you first started out, and what are the memorable challenges, the most difficult period that you face?
The most difficult periods that I face until today, I will still say prospecting. I do get a lot more referrals nowadays, but I'm trying to build my client base as well, because 4 years into the business, I do think it is the time to have a concrete and solid base of about 300 to 400 clients, which I'm still slowly building to that lah. So on a daily basis, I'm still trying to get new clients and know about more people. There are many ways how I started my business. Just like I mentioned, I do all kind of
Prospecting methods.
right? Prospecting methods, yes. And I actually boils down and I realize what suits me more, which is through messaging, through events, and also referrals. So if you take referrals apart, because referrals I will not say is completely cold, they are sort of like lukewarm, because you do have your clients there to talk, to compliment you and tell them more about you, right? But in terms of events and also messaging and calling, nowadays I get a lot more in terms of numbers. So I will not be afraid to walk up to a person and get their name card. I will have a introduction speak of myself. And part of me also the kind of person that believe in fate lah. So sometimes when I see, there was one time I remember at Raffles Place, there's this, I believe is a lawyer. I mean, I guess he was a lawyer, and he dressed in the exact same patterns every day.
Okay.
So the first time I bumped into him, right, he is in full white, with a luggage, hand luggage, quite old, and immediately it left an impression in my mind. And I told myself that, okay, if I meet him 3 times, I'm going to walk up to him and ask for his name card.
Okay.
And second time, I think 2-3 weeks later, because I'm always running around my first place, right? 2-3 weeks later, I bumped into him again. I was like, wow. Now, if 3 times, it's really the chance. Fate already.
Okay.
So the third time, I just walk up to him without hesitation. I said, I saw you for the past 3 weeks. And I remember you wear the exact same thing with your exact same suitcase. And immediately they opened up a conversation and he said, yeah, how do you know I always wear the same thing? I have these 5 sets. I only wear the same thing so that it reduces my decision making every day. Then that's how I strike a conversation. That's why I think for myself, I'm never afraid to go to one person and ask for his number, because I genuinely want to help. I genuinely want to know him. And it makes me feel happy and exciting about the career as well.
Doing something like this is not something that everybody might want to do, or everybody has the kind of mindset or attitude to do something like that. Do you feel like our business it takes a certain character to do it? So essentially, do you feel like anybody can come in and learn and excel, or do you think it takes a very particular kind of character and attitude to do the business?
I think everything can be learned. Myself as well, I learned a lot of things in this career. But I think the only character you need, right, is to be willing to learn. For example, you think just now, I can just walk out to a person and then talk to a person is something that I will do in the past. No, I will never do that. But it's because of the challenges, and I try to include all these things to make my life more exciting. I remember when I started the career, right, I hated cold calling, because just let's be frank with our friends, we don't even call anymore. We use texting a lot. And calling somebody actually made me feel very stressed.
Very intrusive also.
Very intrusive. Because I will put myself in their perspective. If I were them, right, and I received this kind of cold call, I would be very angry. Like, why are you calling me? Why do you have my numbers? How do you get my numbers? I felt very intrusive, like what I mentioned. So it was very difficult for me when I first started cold calling. I remember when our agency have 1 hour or 2 hours cold calling session. Teleton, remember?
Yeah.
And I would just go in and do nothing.
Act busy.
Message, do nothing. But I slowly have to force myself. So how I force myself? I remember the first calling, I tell myself, okay, just need to call 1 number and that's it. And then after that, 2 numbers, 3 numbers. Then eventually I realized, actually, people are not that against cold calling if you talk to them properly.
Yep.
And it is my self-limiting belief that make me think that they don't like. Yeah. In fact, I do have quite many cold calling clients that told me after a few years later that luckily you called me because I got this protected, or luckily you called me, otherwise I wouldn't have saved so much money until today. So it's down the road that I realized, stop putting a self-limiting belief on myself and be open to the learning opportunity. Yes.
What do you think was your biggest self-limiting belief?
I couldn't cross my own hurdle that to put down everything and to open up to people first is something that is very difficult for me, because I came from law, right? And at that time I think I was still young also, so a lot of dignity, a lot of think that you're better than anybody else lah. So I have to put that down and understand people first. Instead of just talking about myself, I have to understand people first and know that this career is really to help people. So that was one of the things that I need to let go of. And another self-limiting belief on the fact that just now I mentioned that people don't like us.
Yeah.
Right? So we always think that people don't like insurance.
Yeah.
You walk on the road. Last time I was so against this idea that when people ask me what I was doing, I don't dare to say which company I'm with in the very beginning of the years lah. But after a while, again, I realized insurance is really helping so many people. It's not just about insurance. Insurance is also part of the assets and part of how we can build our investment, and also it should be part of our investment and savings portfolio. So when I put down all these constraints, I feel like the world opens up to me a lot more as well.
I share with you something. I quit the business earlier this year, right? This stigma about people don't like us, I think everybody feels it. So last time, right, let's say I talk to someone on LinkedIn, for example. I message the person doesn't reply me, and I'll be thinking, I see nobody likes us. So I'm disturbing people,
Yeah.
You feed yourself this kind of negative thoughts, right? Now I have good insurance. I run a podcast show. I message people to invite them to come on the podcast show, right? Interesting guests I want to get on. They don't reply me also. So my point is, if you think about it, right, perhaps it's nothing to do with who you are or what you're trying to, pitch to them. It's just that maybe they are really busy, or that they really had no time, or you caught them on a bad day. Do not try and think for others what you think in yourself. I think that's quite a story there. There's a lesson that I learned also.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about this part about helping people? If I go and talk to any agent, any advisor, of course they will say that they are helping people, right? What's exactly the way that you help people in terms of your philosophy towards their planning process?
I always believe as a personal wealth manager, right? No, first thing we must do is to not let client lose money. Okay, that's the first thing. And then secondly, you must always ring fence what they already have, and on top of it, build more assets for them. So that is my personal philosophy. To not lose money, definitely. Ring fence whatever they already have and build more. How to build more? It can be through different way. We can arrange different structure and stuff. Ultimately, people will think that sometimes when clients are, nowadays a lot of sophisticated clients as well, they already have many ways to get that 50%, 100% return. But then I will tell my clients, it's about a barbell strategy. You have the exciting part going on, but how about you transfer that boring that you think is not important, that you think, why do I need a so low return when I can do 50%? So it's a barbell strategy in a sense that when all these exciting things are going on, when things are good, no problem. They are going to be very exciting. What I do is more boring, but what I do is going to help you when things are not in a good place. That's why I remember you shared with me your podcast is called Miracle in the Box, right?
Miracle in a Briefcase.
A Miracle in a Briefcase. So I really think my job is that when things are not good, when everybody else is leaving, I'm the first person going to be standing in front of you and give you this check and give you this income stream. Yeah.
How do you, your business now, today, between investment and protection, what's the kind of like a ratio like in terms of the work that you do?
Wow, I never really go and structure it. because how I look at it, always for young clients, myself, risk management is very important. And I'll explain to my client why. I don't want the case whereby after 20 years later, we have built $100,000. And these are hard-earned money. And just because of I haven't built that risk management part, meaning to say that maybe you haven't have critical illness. The moment critical illness hit, you take the money out from the $100,000, then it goes back all to zero.
Yeah.
So for me, risk management as a young person, unless you are very rich, you come from a very, very privileged family, I understand that you might not want to start that first. But even then, I will still insist and tell my clients the philosophy first. Why do we need to protect your next income? Some people think critical illness, the moment they hit critical illness, the moment they hurt death benefit, they're very against it. Then I will tell my clients, all these are risk management criteria. What are we ring fencing ourselves from? Let's think about it. You can plan that, 5 years later, I want to buy a house. 10 years later, you want to buy a car. 20 years later, I want to get married. Just a bit long, but you get what I mean. All this planning, you are based on one factor. You want to guess what assumption that is?
You are healthy.
You're healthy, and your next income is coming in. Otherwise, how do you plan, right?
That means you are expecting a certain income stream. Because you would certainly be planning the size of your house, location of your house based on the budget as well.
Yes. So risk management basically means I'm transferring any risk that might stop you from getting your next income. So if I explain this way, right, then it makes more sense also. People are not that against it anymore. Yeah.
Interesting. As a legal trained person, right, having a background in law, what are there any competitive advantages that you have in terms of advising your clients, having a background in law?
Yes, definitely. It's something that I did not expect. But when I come to this business, I thought I finally don't need to read all the paperwork anymore. I think I misunderstand. So I think contract reading is something that I appreciate from law. When I come to this business, a lot of the plans, we do go through training, but we might not understand to the very last bit. But through contract reading, I'll be able to read everything very fast as well, firstly. And secondly, understand how to read them. It's not in every book that, people will bring you from this part. Suddenly you need to go back and read the subsection from another part. But because you go through that training and when you read it, right, it's very, very smooth. And you also understand how to read between the lines.
You can really fish out the insights of the policy, right?
Yes. So just maybe some example. They said, the first 10 years is not free to withdraw. After 10 years, it's free to withdraw. If I never go through training, I'll just take it as it is. So 10 years cannot take money. But then because I, think further, so that means that, so after 10 years later, I can always put in and take out money, but still gain the benefit and stuff. So this is how we can read between the line and paragraph better.
Yeah, insurance is essentially a paper business. What you're buying is essentially a contract.
Yes.
That says you pay the insurer the premium, and in the event of what happens in the contract, there will be something else that happens from the insurer. Doing a degree in law is never easy. You spend 4 years?
3 years.
3 years studying law. So when you finally graduated and you decided, what made you decide to not do law after 3 years, studying very hard law and wanting to join the FA business?
Actually, I did intern for about 3 to 6 months in Malaysia.
Internship in law?
Yeah, intern in law. And I'm a very people person. I was in criminal and also family law. So it was very heartbreaking for me in the sense that my professional self and the real me cannot come aligned in law, in the business.
Why?
So when we meet clients, when clients share with you their cases, right? They will, for example, a divorce case. And when clients started crying, I'm the first person to cry with them.
Okay.
But you have to hold out that professional self because you have to stay focused and you have to.
As a lawyer,
As a
right,
lawyer,
you need to be like impartial and professional. And
yes, and you are there to support them and not to cry with them, you see. But I can't help, even though I'm very clear what I'm going to do, what is the next steps, but I cannot stop crying. Or sometimes when I'm not helping the people that I think is right, so I impose my personal belief on the client as well, which is not good because you have to be acting for your client best interest, right? No matter who he or she is. So there are times like when I do my professional works in the morning already, and when I lie in bed at night, my conscience start to bite me. And this repeats many days. So after a while, I decided that this might not be my cup of tea. I can maybe sustain for the next 5 years, but I definitely cannot sustain for the next 30 years. So a lot of people tell me, Vivian, you're wasting your 3 years of education.
Yeah.
I just want to tell every young people here, 3 years of your education when you are 21 years old, fresh out of graduate, is just maybe 1/7 of your life. But if you don't stop then, 30 years later, when you suddenly realize you don't like this anymore, you'll be losing out 50% of your life doing something that you don't like already. Yeah.
My advice always is it's better to join the business earlier and young. I would imagine that even for you, you see, once you have earned yourself that degree, it's yours.
Yeah.
So even if you can always go back to law. Am I right to say you can always go back to law?
This thought that I can always go back to law is one of the hurdle again in my first year. Having that backup plan in my mind.
Such attractive plan B, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can just tell myself, I just don't be a family lawyer. I can be a land conveyancing lawyer, a corporate lawyer and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So having that in my mind, I realized after I think 6 months later that I should stop telling myself there's a backup plan. Because even though I have a backup plan, is that something I want to do for life? Yep. That was my question to myself. And having that in mind, when I drop down and tell myself that, Vivian, there's no more backup plan. This is your only plan. You have to play it well. That is when I would say one of the biggest breakthrough in my career.
What was your most difficult moment in a career? Was there a moment whereby you feel like I cannot do this insurance, this FA business, I want to quit already, and whether I go back to law or not, I don't care, but I just know that I cannot even survive in the FA business?
Yes.
If you can't even survive, then what do you want to talk about, right? So was there a moment that you really want to quit? And what was that moment?
Yes. So in my first year, right, there are many moments where you feel difficult, but there's only one moment in these 4 years that I really want to quit already.
Decided in the mind already.
Decided in my mind. Half of my want to quit already. That was in the year when, that was in, I think 6 months into business. So when we are all new, we are in this basic pay scheme. I do have some basic, okay? But you also at the same time need to meet the requirement. So for example, if my basic is $2,000, I have to meet the $2,000. I remember I haven't met for past 8 months. And the company HR called me. It's different. It's between agency HR, you can still like a bit friend, right? But it's company HR that called me, asked me to go to the headquarters and want to have a chat with me. 3 days before that chat, I already very stressed. What am I going to say? And when she meet me, right, the first question she asked me is, why?
Why what?
Why never achieve?
Oh, okay. Why? Okay.
In my mind, I was like, I also don't know why. Then after that, next question. If for the past 8 months you never achieve, why should we keep you? What is your plan? Do you have new plan for the next 2 months that might make a change? Then I felt very attacked also because I already really tried everything in my pocket to survive. It's not that I'm not working. In fact, I'm more hardworking than when I was in law. So I really doubted myself, and I also don't have an answer to the HR. So I think I just sit there 2-3 minutes later, I start crying. Like
this is in AIA Tower?
In not Tower, AIA Tampines.
Okay.
I really cried, and then HR also got a shock like, I haven't even, because she said it in a very neutral tone, it's not even demanding or anything, but I just start crying and crying. So when I come out of the HR room, I just tell myself, maybe this is really not my cup of tea. I already tried for 8 months. The HR is not, she does not think that I have potential as well. She give me chances to work more, but I also don't know where to go. You know, she tell me that you have to talk to your leader and you have to work harder. But I already worked very hard. I think I was working at about 13 hours a day at that time. I really don't know how to make more changes to that. So I started crying and I called my mom. When my mom picked up the phone, she can hear that I clearly was crying lah. And I was telling my mom that, you know, I make a biggest mistake in my life.
To join the business.
I should not have joined. I should have listened to you. You're always right. And I tell my mom that, you know what, I'm just going back to law. I know this is not going to work. So my mom is a very wise woman, I would say. And she always believed in myself more than myself. She told me this story. She said, have you looked at the water boiling before? So, you know, when you start to boil a pot of water, initially there's nothing going on. Then after a while, you start to look at some bubbles coming out from the bottom of the pot, right? Then after that, more bubbles. Then the kettle start to rattle. And when the kettle start to rattle, it actually rattle a lot longer than before. Before you see the bubble come out, you know. So it rattle.
The really actual boiling.
Yeah. So you see it rattle for very long, and then you're like, hey, how come it's already boiling but not? I mean, it's borderline boiling but not yet there, you know. Then you waited for very long, and my mom told me that I was at that stage. At that stage is the hardest to break through because the water, the liquid, need more energy in order to break away the chain between them also. If you learn chemistry, right? The chain that holds them in as a liquid. So you need more energy and you need more patience. You are at this stage and you can choose either go back to become water or break through to become air. How you want to choose it.
Your mom told you that story after you came out of the HR room.
Yeah.
Then what do you say?
So I keep quiet for a while because I know for the past 8 months, I've put in so much effort. And now it's really the bottleneck point, the point where I have to hang on and work harder to break through.
So will you say that meeting was sort of like a turning point for you?
Yes, it is as well. Even my manager, she used to tell me that you already do everything you can, but there is something that is still not there. And I believe only you can answer what is the missing part of it.
So in hindsight, looking back at it, what do you think was missing? I mean, you have said that it's not a lack of effort or a lack of attitude or work. So what was it that really connected the dots?
Is me telling myself that you have to do it. Do not think of alternative way anymore. Do not think that you can go back to law. Do not think that if all else failed, at least I tried. Even though I will use that to encourage people, but towards myself, I have to be firm. You know, and people can feel that when you're firm, you know, in the business, especially in the first year. Because there's so many agents that do halfway, then you know, in the first year especially, leave. So yeah,
try kind of mentality.
Try mentality, and you always ask for people to support you. Yes, people are willing to support you, but you have to show them that you are firm and you are determined. And when that gets connected, when I tell myself, Vivian, I'm very certain this is what I want to do in life, and everything just connected.
Okay, I get that, because you really, like you say, you already have the work and the effort, but it was really a lack of confidence, basically, that made you lack the conviction to do what you have to do, right?
Yes. I also say that because of that mentality, right? So maybe before that, I used to just do work because my manager asked me to do. Okay. So my manager asked me to do until step 1, step 2, step 3. I will never do until step 4.
For example?
For example, my manager told me that, you have to, when you call the back-end people, you have to ask them maybe this question, like what is let's take a baby insurance, for example. You have to ask them, what if the baby does have some congenital issue, and when can the policy transfer to the baby. So I will just really ask this question, but I will not ask how many days are the waiting period.
Okay.
I will not ask what if it's diagnosed already, can the policy still transfer with the critical illness included.
There are many questions that you can always ask because there are always so many scenarios,
Yes.
right?
And I learned to think from my client perspective also. Because once I told myself I want to be in the business, right, it's no longer just, manager say A, I do A. I know that I want to be in the business, I have to be in control, and I want to know what kind of the questions are important for clients. Yeah, so that makes a lot of difference actually.
What do you see is the role of your managers and the importance of mentorship in this business?
Honestly, I would say it's the most important thing, especially when you have no experience. My mentors, they are all very willing to help. To the extent that sometimes I'm thinking to myself, they are also salespeople. People always say salespeople are very competitive and they will always keep something to themselves.
Dog eat dog.
Dog eat dog, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to show your last hand to your other people because the moment you show it, then people might copy it. But all my mentors and as well as all the very successful seniors in AIA, when they show you something, they really show to the last dot. They will not keep anything in their mind. So that is the first thing. That's why mentorship is so important. And secondly, why mentorship is important in the career is because mentors, I feel they are mentors because they know what is your character. And they give you the medicine, be it medicine or give you the advice according to your character. If I look at it now, right, I realize that my managers and my directors, they don't apply the same rule to everybody, So when they talk to me, they always talk to me about structure, about how I can better do my things in a process way. Do not always impromptu. Put in a process, and when you want to do impromptu, you can do it. But when you talk to somebody who already has a very strict process, they will tell them, relax a bit.
They should be more flexible.
Be more flexible. Do not just follow what you want to do, but you have to listen to the clients. From there on, you understand maybe this part cannot follow your process. You have to fit in what clients think. So I think being able, in Chinese we call 因材施教, right? Because of certain criteria this or that candidates have, you have to apply different measure. And I think that is something that helps me a lot also.
Yeah, that's very cool. I understand that you want to go into management.
Yes.
Why? What's the motivation behind wanting to go into management?
Like I mentioned before, in this career, I do feel that I receive a lot of things. Not only supports from my friends and my managers, but all these things actually translate to me being able to be the better version of myself. And I hope everybody can actually experience that, the empowering feeling that you can be better version of yourself. And you should being in this career, right? It does not only it's not just career like a work that changes, but I feel like my entire life changed because of the career. In terms of everything I do, I have a positive mindset. I believe myself so much more and more confidence, and always being the helpful person in life. And I'm very happy with my own state now that I felt like I hope everybody can experience it for themselves, to be a better version of themselves and to be happy every single day.
Do you have an ideal candidate? What kind of people are you looking for?
I definitely the first criteria might be very vain. People will tell me, like it can already, man. But I want someone who is
Kind-hearted.
Kind-hearted.
Okay.
Why do I say so? I felt like I can teach everything, I can learn everything, right? But kind-hearted is something that's very fundamental.
It's a character thing.
It's a character
Yeah.
thing. And why is it important? Down the 4 years or 5 years of in the business, right? There are definitely some times that you have some conflict of interest. Meaning to say that, should I propose this plan or should I propose that plan? This plan might earn me more commission, but I know that plan is what clients needed.
Mm.
So kindness is a choice, I would say. You have to constantly be able to choose for your client best interest. And it's a practice, and you have to have that in your mind already. Yeah, so that is my first criteria. Of course, secondly, I know I am at a early 30, late 20 state. So I do hope that my mentees are around the same age with me.
A younger team.
So that we can have fun together. And most importantly, because we are around the same age, right, I can connect with them better. And I still vividly remember all the hardship and all the challenges I've been through for the past 4 years. And I know how to better understand them as well. Yeah.
I would think that arguably being in management, whereby your KPI is recruitment, is even more competitive than insurance sales. Because when someone is not just buying a policy, someone is like giving you their trust, their commitment into a career, and they are trusting that you can bring them to places. They are trusting that you will be able to teach them how to replicate your success that they see in you, that they would like for themselves. Can you elaborate a little bit more about what do you think your brand of mentorship would be like? For example, do you think it will be more focused on training, or do you think it's more focused on... But also you mentioned 因材施教, like, tailoring a solution to everyone. How do you imagine yourself, visualize yourself as a manager?
Like what I mentioned, 因材施教 lo. But just now you mentioned about training, right?
Yep.
When I entered in the business, I was hoping that there is a very concrete structure in place to teach me like a kindergarten school student.
Okay.
I remember I told this to my manager before. Please be very strict on me, because I'm like a kindergarten school student in this career. And being strict meaning to say that I will actually text my manager my schedule, 9 to 6. What I'm going to do, what is the process, how am I going to do it, and what is the translation rate. So what is like how many appointments translate to how many closing, how many closing appointment translate to sales.
So a certain system.
Yes, so I put in myself a system, because I told my manager I'm a kindergarten school student, and if you think about kindergarten school or primary school, right, they set a schedule for you.
Yeah.
So that you don't need to think so much,
You have a timetable.
You have a timetable, you just follow. But when you become a university school student, then you choose what you want to do, what course you want, you arrange your own schedule. So for me, I will definitely identify where you are now, where the mentees are now. If you are in a kindergarten school like I was, I can just show you my schedule.
Okay.
And I was very strict on my own lah. So I can show you my schedule. If you are in a university state, definitely you have to prove to me that you're in a university state first lah. Then we can use a more, I believe I will call it, you need me, I'm there. If you don't need me, I will disappear.
The flexibility of the business is such that it's very easy for someone to just drop off. Having a schedule helps.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah.
What do you think is there any other culture that you like to build? Just now you mentioned about having a young, fun, energetic team. Is there a culture that you like to cultivate in the agency, in your team?
I would say 2 very important one for me. Firstly, be fearless and have fun. Secondly, to always help each other like a family.
Okay.
A lot of people think that this industry is very lonely. Right?
It's a lonely business.
It's a lonely business.
Yeah.
I used to think that as well. But what I realized is that the more you give, the more you will realize this is not a lonely business. Because the more you will receive, in my first year or second year, I would even say, I felt it's very lonely. It's always me and my client. But when I start to help other people in the industry, then I realized as an industry, as a company, we actually grow and move forward together. And the power is very strong because now I will receive messages from agents from other agency to tell me, wow, Vivian, let's run for this incentive together.
Yeah.
Wow, Vivian, we have to go and learn these particular investment techniques. We have to go and learn this education together so that we can better help our clients. So suddenly it becomes a big family.
A tribe.
A tribe, right? A tribe, yes. And why fun and energetic and fearless, right? Because like what I mentioned, if you realize, I always like to include something that's exciting into my process. For example, walking up to a random person and talk to that person. That is interesting for me.
Yep.
And I felt like I really do feel like, wow, fate, I receiving something from the universe. So that made me excited. Of course, my agents can have their way of thinking something exciting. And this is how I would say having a fun and energetic group and a fearless group, I think is very important in the sense that we grow together, we help each other, and you're never afraid of anything.
Great. We have talked about a lot, but what do you think is really the key to success in the industry?
Just now, whatever I say sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
But if you want to ask me what's the key, it's something very boring. It is very easy, but not simple. It's called discipline and consistency. Why is it very difficult to... I mean, it's very easy, right? Because easy to say, well, who doesn't know how to say?
Yeah.
But it's not simple because when you have to apply every single day of your life, then it becomes very mundane and very difficult.
And demanding also.
There are days where I wake up and I felt like, I'm not motivated. I don't want to work. Or there are days that I wake up, I feel like, yesterday I worked until 3 a.m. I'm so tired. These are the days that I will call the key days. These are the days where implementing discipline and consistency become extra important. And why I say so is because you can choose to go back in bed. It's very easy, just wake up and lie down, right?
Yep.
But it's way more challenging and way more difficult to stand up and start your routine. But having this consistency and discipline is what's going to help you a long, long way, because you know that you have a schedule to do. You have to fulfill it. It's not only mindset, the mindset that you have to do what you have to do. That's the first thing. That is some challenging mindset to have. And secondly, also to know what you have to do. And by following through everything you achieve, right, you realize, 1 hour later, you feel energetic already. You don't feel that sluggishness in you anymore. Yeah.
You have done what the industry standard we call MDRT the last 2 years.
Yes.
Will you consider that the most memorable and successful part of your career? Or if not, which is the most memorable part? Do you have a memorable moment like you feel like in your career that define your career?
Yeah. I used to thought MDRT day, the day that I achieved MDRT will be the most memorable day.
Benchmark,
right?
Achievement unlocked, right? Yeah.
But surprisingly, it wasn't. It's more of a relieving moment. I finally 对得起 my client trust. I finally 对得起 my efforts and my manager's expectation and stuff. But if you ask me what is my most memorable moment, right, are those moments where I sit at coffee shop.
Okay.
Why? Why? Very interesting, right? Why? Because when I sit at different cafes, different coffee shop or different bars, right, I will actually see a particular table and got reminded that, that's how I met this client.
Okay.
And it become a movie in my eyes, whereby, what we talk about, what did he share with me. And there are interesting things like, for example, there was one time when I worked at Raffles Place, I was at Jewel Cafe. And I was chonging my work because I needed something to be printed out. And this client of mine today, he was an uncle, he was just sitting beside me. And he offered me the power socket somehow, said, hey, you need to charge.
Okay.
So I said, yes, let me charge. Then I charging my laptop. Then he was looking at me, then he said, are you with AIA? Then I was like, yes, I am. Why? How can I help? Then he said, there was some claim issue at that time. Then I said, I'm rushing for appointment. I can't talk to you now, but let's exchange name card.
Okay.
And today he is my client, one of the best client I have.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are also conversations. For example, I remember I got scolded at a client's office for 45 minutes because he told me why you left law.
Okay.
It was a bad decision, and he was generally thinking from my point of view, which I very appreciate, you know, because if you really don't like another person, why would you spend 45 minutes?
You won't even be bothered to talk so much.
Right.
Yeah.
And today he is one of my clients. Yeah, so all these little things is very memorable to me because when I sit there when things are quiet, is when I remember all these sweet moments.
And when you start having 100, 200 clients, you have a lot of all these memories and all these spots that you would associate with your journey, right?
Yes. And one thing that I really enjoy about the career is that from two strangers, we become working partners. And most of my clients are my friends now. During Chinese New Year, the COVID period, right? I have clients who ask me to go to their house to take ang bao.
Because they know you are not local as well.
Yeah, they will ask me, call me, and they'll give me some cookies, or they will tell me, hey, why not you come and have dinner with us?
Yeah.
So these are all very heart touching moments. Yeah.
You know, a lot of young people, even for me, when I was joining a business, right? People sometimes always say that you will lose friends when you join a business. But it has been proven that you will gain more friends. Even if you lose that one or two friends, I assure you that you are going to gain a lot more friends. Because a lot of the client's relationship, if it's genuine, if you have really, like what you said earlier, if you have put yourself in the client's shoe and put their interest in front of yours, right? They will surely see you not just as an advisor, but also as a friend as well.
Yeah. You know, about this lose friend thing, a lot of people actually asked me about this question before. And I put myself in their position. How to not lose friend, right? I have a technique, I do a little trick. I always make it very clear. I want to meet you today. Is it for coffee, for casual coffee, to talk about all our old memories? Or am I here as an advisor?
Draw the line.
Okay. So then friends won't feel that, wow, this person always meet me, just want to sell me something. They won't think of it that way. If I told them, you know, I'm in this industry for 3 years already, I do think you need to have certain planning. Do you want it? If you don't want it, it's fine. But I felt like it's my responsibility to ask my friends. And I learned this through hard lessons. There was a period of time when I just started, right? Like what you say, I don't want to lose any friends. So I didn't go to my friends. I only go to those very, very close to me that they tell me that they want to buy policy.
Yeah, okay.
I was that passive, you know. But then I realized one of my good friends, I didn't ask her about insurance at all. And one day, suddenly she just called me and told me that, Vivian, there are lumps in my breast. Is it still possible to cover? Not that I say I want to cry already, but I was very devastated because I blame myself a lot. Even my friends, their first comment is, how come you never asked her to buy? You guys are so close. Yeah, so that was a very hard lesson for me. That's why I told myself, they don't want to buy, it's fine. At least I asked and I don't feel guilty. Yep. Next time, if really anything happen, at least they know they have a choice, you know. Yes, so after that, it become a lot better. And I will tell my friends, today I am meeting you as an advisor. I can present to you what I've been presenting to all my clients and friends. You can decide on your own. Yeah. So draw the line clearly and you will not lose any friends.
Yeah, very, very true. You recently got your PR.
Yes.
So I can say, I can say, right?
Okay, can.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your family is in Malaysia. Just now hearing the story from your mom, even in Singapore, you know, for a lot of parents, when their kids want to join the FA industry, there's always a lot of resistance. I think it's become better, but there's still resistance. And actually, there's a history to this resistance and this people's kind of mindset. I think it's because, now, of course, there are certain requirements that you need to have in order to become an FA. But back in those days, right, during like our parents' kind of days, right, insurance is something that you no need to have any qualification. It's basically a 100% sales job. And basically anyone can go in there and say that, hey, I want to be your agent. You know, then you just sign a few forms and become an agent already. No exams, no regulations, very little regulations. So insurance, right, is something that only those that have no other things to do, no educator, no other jobs to do, then they go and become insurance agent. Having spent 3 years in law, your parents put you through law school and all. What was their initial kind of response when you said you want to join the industry? And has that whatever attitude evolved over the years?
Yes. My parents are always very supportive towards everything I do. Even when I was still fresh in the business, they are very supportive. But having to understand that your daughter want to leave law, which is something they always want me to become, you know, as a Chinese family, doctor, lawyer, or accountants.
Very proud.
Very
it's something
proud.
to be proud of, right?
Very proud, yeah. But I remember I called my mom, right? And I was at Tanjong Pagar Road after a talk with the leaders. I called my mom and tell my mom that, Ma, I think I want to change job. And I want to enter into this industry. I can hear like at least a 5 to 10 second silence over the other side of the phone, right? Before my mom finally told me, okay, whatever you do, you take responsibility, and we will always be here to support you. That was very touching because I know how difficult she needs to go through to still continue to say that line. Of course, after that, for the first 4 months, even though they say they're supportive, right, I know for a fact part of them still want me to go back to become lawyer. Because every time when the friends ask them, oh, what is your daughter doing? They will always reply, oh, she's doing something she like, but she's coming back to be a lawyer. So part of them still want me to become a lawyer. But it changes because they can see how excited and passionate I am in terms of, you know, your attitude when you go to work. I want to wake up very early, and everything is I want to. It's no longer I'm forced to. So that they see in me that I want to achieve what I want to do, and I'm so much happier in the industry as well. So slowly, also I have to prove to them, MDRT helps a lot. They realize that means like you are the
it's
top 5%.
It's a global benchmark.
Yes, and they see I go through a lot of training. So just like you mentioned last time, it used to be anybody can be an insurance agent, right?
Yep.
But nowadays, because it's so competitive as well, and we are constantly looking how to value add to clients. I introduce myself as a personal wealth manager because that means not only insurance, but also how to build more wealth. And because of that, I might even go and listen for tax planning classes, income taxes, especially nowadays with the new budget, right?
Yeah. And
also how to know sales classes, personalities, and a lot more of soft skill as well as the table skill that we need for this industry. So that's why I say this career, right, is not just about work. It really changes my life because I learn a lot of other things, you know.
You become a lot more holistic. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And my mom sees it. So I think after 2 years later, nowadays, right, they are the strongest backbone I have. And they push me harder than my manager. I give you an example. During COVID period, I told my mom that I want to go back because I a bit tired already. Then my mom told me, but you have 1 year to run. You should not come back now. You should finish the 1 year, then you'll come back. Then I was looking at my mom and said, you are more tough than my manager. Difficult to handle. Yeah, but she is always constantly pushing me to achieve higher than what I achieve. And they are there to support me as well.
Family support is very, very important.
Yes.
Family support is very, very important.
I would say, you know, for people to start with, they might not be so supportive, but when at that stage, what I can say is that you have to believe in yourself. You want people's support, you also have to show them some evidence.
Yep. Back it up lah.
Yeah, because parents ultimately they want the best for you. I did ask my mom, you know, why was she so against it initially?
Yeah.
She said it's a very
I want 废话.
Yeah, right. She said it's very difficult job.
It is. Yeah.
And he said none of my friends in insurance are surviving.
So actually sayang you also lah.
They don't want. For them, it's like just be a lawyer. Don't need like just just take a 9 to 6 work, you know. And then secondly, she said, like what you say, Lord, you study so high, why must you go and be an insurance agent? But after a while, they realize what other trainings they're going through, and actually it's not that easy to be a professional personal wealth manager.
Wealth advisor,
right? Yes.
yeah.
And you need to know a lot more things. Then she become much better. Yeah.
There are many other sales jobs that are also like people facing and all that can join. What do you stumble upon the FA industry?
Yeah.
Or you have always wanted to join FA industry?
I would not say I always wanted to join.
Okay.
I stumbled upon because when I wanted to change job, right, I know that I'm always interested in finance.
Okay.
And even though I did not know what I wanted to do, from my law background, I did know what I want. I want something that is about people because I know I'm a people person and I can relate to people very well. So that is something I know I want for sure. Secondly, I know I want a career that is long term. Because the moment I build a rapport with a person, right, I hope that it can be a long-term relationship and I enjoy that relationship. So these two things in mind, together with how I like finance, brings me to this career. And when I talk to my friends, so lucky, the first friend or second friend that I talk to, right, is my director daughter. And
Venka's daughter.
Yes, and I didn't know back then that my friend's dad is in this business. We were just in the bar chilling and I was just telling her this decision that I made, and she said, Vivian, you have to talk to my dad. Then I was like, why? Then she was like,
he's a legend.
Yeah, she's a legend. He's 28 years in this business.
Yeah.
Then I was like, but no promise one. He said, just go and talk to him first. Even if you don't join, it's fine, but at least you know what you are thinking of, whether it's correct or not. Yeah, that's how I met my director Venka and have been with him since.
What was your first impression of Venka?
Reliable.
Okay.
Very reliable and very honest as well. So he told...
So you were not intimidated by him?
I wasn't. I think, because maybe like what I say, he is a very smart leader in the sense that he can tell a person characteristic.
Maybe he was softer with you.
Yes.
He didn't like look at you like big eyes stare at you.
I think his eyes are big normally. Yes, but he did assure me and answer every question that I asked in a very honest way.
I share with you why I decided to join Venka. So for me, when I put out my resume 12 years ago when I wanted to get a job, right? Once you put out your resume, a lot of insurance company will call you on. As long as they know you are qualified, that means you have A levels or uni or diploma or degree, they will call you. So I thought that, for me, I took the mindset that I can explore. So I went down for first interview with Prudential. And I remember that the leader who pitched to me the career, right, was showing to me all the good things about the career.
Yeah.
Convention, this is my holidays in the US, this is that. But when I met Venka, he told me that it's not going to be easy. And that gave me the confidence to learn under him because I know that it's not going to be easy. So, and he told me very honestly and very candidly that it's not going to be easy. You need to learn. You need to put in a learning curve that will then allow you to reach a certain stage. And that was my experience with Venka . But I got conned by him . So I went to one of his talks, recruitment seminars. But it was a very, very good decision. A lot of the skills that you pick up.
Yeah.
终身受用.
Yes. That's why until today, right, I felt like even if one day because of my maybe if I fall into some accident or whatever, that I cannot be in this business anymore, right? I would say that all the skill set that I have learned have helped me in my life.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
Great. Do you have any other thing to add?
Any other thing to add? I think being in this business is one of the most happiest thing, and I felt very blessed every day. not only because of the support that I have from my clients, the trust that I've gained from my friends. My managers and directors are people who are very wonderful. And also, most importantly, I feel that in this business, every single day, I am my true self. And I'm very happy with the current state. One thing that I really enjoy also being humble in the career, because we all start from very difficult beginning, and I learned to appreciate things a lot more.
It's easy to get carried away, in this career after you earn some money and you achieve a certain amount of kind of like monetary kind of rewards. I think I've seen in the career, in the industry, people who just get carried away, become like the head got big. How do you stay grounded?
Because like what I mentioned, every single day, right, I know that all this will not happen if it's not because of clients. All this will not have happened if it's not because of the help that I have received. And that is also why I want to give back. Because I felt like I received so many things, and it's time to give back, to help more people, to groom more people, and to let them enjoy the happiness in this industry. Of course, monetary wise, let's be frank, we all work, we must be rewarded from our hard work also. But I always believe, on top of monetary, you have to always know that if without all the people around you, I'm not anything.
True. Vivian, for people who would like to find out more about you after this interview, which social media platforms are you most active on, and they can connect with you or follow you on?
Yes, LinkedIn as well as also IG. I'm most responsive on WhatsApp.
Yep.
If you have my WhatsApp number, you can get it from my LinkedIn as well. Because WhatsApp, I always tell my clients, anything, just call me. And I'm very responsive on WhatsApp, even at night, right? So, last time I always turn silence at night. But nowadays, because of the career, I turn off my silence at night, because there are days.
Things can happen.
Things can happen. I think, in fact, just 3 days ago, 12 a.m., my client called me. The husband suddenly vision turned blur. Rushed to Changi General Hospital. And these are the moments that I think I need to be there. So if anybody want to connect with me, IG is a fun way.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you can see my professional side. WhatsApp, every time. Yeah, anytime.
Great. I have no other questions for you. Do you have any other? Okay, just maybe one last thing. I think for me, I know that there are always a lot of people that we need to thank, like you say, the clients and all, parents or family, or anyone else that you want to give appreciation to?
Definitely still my clients, my friends, families, even my partners and his families. So my relative as well. Because I'm alone here, but I receive so many love from people around
The
me.
network and the support around.
Yes, especially towards clients that have been with me. I'm looking forward to grow with you guys as well. And thank you so much for trusting me. Yeah.
Great. Vivian, I want to tell you that, having seen you grow in the business, I'm so very proud of you. And I wish you all the best.
Yes.
And I hope that your journey in management can be very successful as well. It's not going to be easy, but I think with your attitude and your mindset, right, you can go to places.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I forgot to thank one person, Jia Jie. Because when he was my manager, he is the one that teach me how to put things into process. If you know him, he's a very detailed person, and he likes to put things into processes. So he taught me that part. Yes, you actually taught me that part.
Great. Yeah, I have a certain way I organize my things,
Yeah.
which I think is very needed.
Yes.
Okay, if not Vivian, I think I'm very happy with our conversation today. I think there's a lot of value that people can get out of your sharing. And especially, I want to say that, for someone who is new, who is in their early 20s, or who is thinking of joining the business as their first career, I hope that they have gotten something very valuable. And like you said, to get in touch with you, IG, WhatsApp, LinkedIn.
Yes.
Okay.
And give this industry a try.
Thank you, Vivian.
Yes. See you.
Good.
How do you think? Do you think it's better?
Much better, right? Obviously.
Really?
Yeah.